Hey everyone, so recently the Ontario Real Estate Association partnered with Ipsos Polling to get an idea as to where buyers and sellers' heads are at in the current market we're in. Obviously, there's a lot of information flying around with the news and some statistics because we're in a pretty active seller's market at the moment. But we thought we would digest the 89-page or so report and give you the hot points as we see it. We'll also link in the full write-up for you if you're open to perusing it or you're curious about what other information we might not cover in this video here. But essentially, over 1,400 people were surveyed, and all of them really seem to have pretty good confidence in the market. So we're still seeing the same number of buyers and sellers as we were seeing roughly a year ago. People are still focusing on purchasing in more suburban environments. Obviously, some of that was attributed to COVID. A lot of it is just people feeling that they need more space. The baby boomer demographic, so especially the 55 plus who would be downsizers, they actually haven't adapted their buying habits at all during this COVID pandemic. They're still looking to downsize either to townhomes, bungalows, condominium apartments, and they really, maybe they might have delayed their plans by a year or so. However, we really haven't seen them change their buying patterns or behaviors. The biggest market for people to be changing their patterns and behaviors right now is the younger demographics. We're seeing that the average down payment for buyers right now is 23%. And in the last few weeks, although it's mostly anecdotal evidence at this point for us, we haven't seen the stress test having a significant impact on the market. The ratios and everything that we recently covered in an Instagram post are all holding pretty steady, and they're following the seasonal norms. Right now, it's taking buyers about 13 weeks to purchase a home, which is down from 18 weeks last year. What does that mean? Well, we all know it's a competitive market. People are having to make multiple offers, and they're not being successful in that beginning period. It also can take people a while to find the right home for them, particularly for the market who's looking to move up and trading on their equity. Most of them are going to be looking at detached, and they're going to have fairly specific needs. And we'll get into that later in the video. 69% of buyers are actually looking at resale. Only 31% are looking at new builds. That could also be attributed to the fact that the government makes it very difficult for new building starts. The permit process and everything else can be quite difficult, and that's what's causing a lot of the tightening of supply that we see in the GTA. Upsizers are going after detached homes. So these are predominantly 35 to 54 years old. They're going to be trading on the equity they have in their current homes, which is an important part of it. Obviously, these homes are likely to sell in excess of $1 million, particularly in this little belt that we live in, Mississauga, Oakville, Burlington. You're seeing more of those detached homes clear the 1.5 million mark, so they're going to have equity, generally speaking. It's not going to be a first-time buyer's purchase. Only 28% though of those buyers had concerns over affordability, which is an interesting stat for us. Not many people had any concerns about the economic impact post-COVID. There's a lot of forecasts that are pointing to things being a little bit better in next year, even than what we're experiencing right now, which is good for sellers and buyers alike. 19% of the people who were polled expect to purchase within the next year. And most of those people out of the group there, 21% was the biggest number here, said that they need more space. So the low interest rates, while a lot of the press is attributing the market to that, it only accounted for 12% of respondents. So that was an interesting point for us to look at. And as far as sellers go, 14% of those sellers are downsizers. So generally boomers looking to cash in. Right now, it's a strong seller's market, and who would blame them? It's for a lot of people, it's the bulk of their retirement savings is tied up in the equity of their homes. So they're making the most of the market we're in right now. Funnily enough, these individuals are actually the most demanding on their agents. Typically, they're looking for the shortest period of time on the market, and they also have an expectation of a higher sale price than respondents who are 35 to 54 years old. They have a different set of needs and requirements, and they have a different vision for what the market should bear for their home than, in some cases, what the reality is. 18% of Ontarians are at least somewhat likely to sell in the next 12 months, holding steady on what we were seeing last year. So we're going to continue to see this tightening of supply, which has created the issue that we're in right now. It's not just low rate, and it's not generally because people have been saving money through the COVID lockdowns or with any of the government aid, because as they're showing here in these statistics, because of the increases in home prices, they're not increasing their down payment with that money. In some cases, it's going to upgrades on their existing residence if they're going to be selling in order to purchase a bigger home. We're also seeing that buyers are generally prioritizing space efficiency rather than larger homes. So they realize that a home that's 3,500 square feet is going to sell for considerably more than something at 2,500 square feet. So what they're trying to do is find a floor plan that's conducive to maybe dual purpose living. So the front living room can be turned into an office as well. It could be a room for some homeschooling. So rather than looking for multiple rooms, they're looking for smaller homes, but with dual purpose spaces, so that they can purchase something potentially at a lower price and be more efficient with the space that they have. 17% of homes in Toronto, the GTA, are expected to sell above $1 million, which is a pretty big statistic. It's a price that we've been well acquainted with in the Oakville market. We're seeing that number creep further and further out. Markets like Ancaster, Dundas, they're all seeing really, really strong sale prices as well. And they reckon about 62% of home sales will be detached in the next 12 months. Which is good because that seems to be the one that's the most desired right now. Condos, semis, towns, they're all trading at obviously smaller volumes than the detached, and it seems to be obviously a hot button topic in the news. They keep on advertising this. For us, obviously a lot of our clients who will be looking at selling, they're waiting if they're in detached because they see their home as a kind of a hot topic at the moment, and they don't know what they could move up into. So even if they're in a smaller detached, they're more likely to hold on to that and see what happens. With the projections for the next 12 months being strong and healthy in the real estate market, we're still advocating for people not to delay their plans if they're able to move up in the current market we're in. And the top areas, just getting into some stats here to finish up. For Realtor.ca, the top areas that we were looking at for searches were Burlington, Oakville, and Hamilton. Hamilton is actually, there was rumors that it's going to be added to the list of unaffordable cities for Canada, simply because the prices there have skyrocketed, as we all know, in the last 5 to 10 years, with a lot of people coming out of Toronto and now other markets to find affordable housing, in particular detached homes. And top keywords, this is another thing that's being covered a little bit for people looking. Number one was waterfront. So we've seen a big boom in the cottage industry right now. Again, I would attribute a lot of that to COVID. People are doing staycations. They're not traveling abroad. So those finances are being used towards a second home. Also, individuals who maybe can't make the next move up are purchasing a second property to give them a little bit more recreation space. Pools were at 11%. And, if you'd asked us a few years ago, are pools desirable? We'd say, yeah, maybe 30% of buyers absolutely really would like one, but the properties we've sold in the last year that have had pools, have had lovely landscaped backyards, they have been more desirable to buyers. They see that kind of staycation lifestyle. They know if worst comes to worst, and they are, grounded like they have been for the last year, they have a beautiful backyard oasis that they can use in the summer months. Garage, bungalow, and freehold kind of rounded out the top 5 there. Which is no surprise. Bungalows are great for a lot of young couples, as well as people who are downsizing and they aren't ready yet for that condo apartment or townhouse lifestyle. So we hope you found this information informative. We will link in the full report on our Instagram. It's going to be in our link in bio, and we'll have this in the write-up for the video as well. Any questions that we didn't cover, anything about your particular market that you'd like more information on, please feel free to shoot us a DM through our social media accounts or send us an email through our website, williamsfamilyrealestate.com. Thanks so much, and stay tuned for more content.